Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. Welcome to our spooky series that we do for the month of October, pretty much every year, I feel like. So, I'm excited for today's episode. The theme is spooky kids, things that kids see. You guys know that I am fascinated with, like, not just the paranormal, but all the little spooky things that kids say and see as a child who saw all kinds of spooky things when I was young. And I don't know, I just feel like there's something about it where I don't know if it's like they haven't set boundaries mentally, emotionally, or whatever, or their imaginations are bigger. I don't really know what the motive is behind it, but they definitely see spookier things. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Before I jump in, don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I would really appreciate it. It takes about 0.2 seconds. It means the absolute world to me, and of course, it's absolutely free. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in.
I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now.
Starting off strong, our first one is titled My Paranormal Experience I Had When I Was a Kid. I've always been a believer of the paranormal even before this event. I kind of want to share my story to see if anyone else had the same experience as me. This happened back in an old house of mine. For context, I was asleep in the living room on the couch, and on the right side of the room was a window with the blinds down. I'd woken up all of a sudden, and when I looked at the time, it was 3 a.m. I tried my best to go back to sleep because this was around the time where all the scary videos at 3 a.m. trend was on YouTube. Honestly, I remember that, but I've always been scared at 3 a.m. My family has always been like, 3 a.m., scary hour, bad things happen, you shouldn't be awake. And I don't know if that was a tactic to make us fall asleep or if that was like, actually, oh my gosh, my plant just knocked the back of my head and that spooked me so hard. Yeah, I don't know if my parents just wanted me to go to bed, so they were like, you gotta be in bed or whatever, but I 100% believe that 3 a.m. bad things happen, and it spooks me to this day, and I try to go to bed or be home before 3 a.m. Anyways, I had failed to fall back asleep, so I resorted to watching Boomerang on the TV, the good old days. Everything was normal till I looked at the window I mentioned earlier and saw it. It looked like it had the silhouette of a woman with her hands pressed up against the window like she was looking in, even though the blinds were closed. My heart is pounding so fast because I had a very, very, very similar, if not the same, experience as a child. And our living room had the exact same setup. And my bedroom kind of did at one point, so this is making my chest hurt. Oh, okay, continuing. I'd actually felt terrified of whatever it was, but I didn't run to my parents' room or anything. I'm not sure why, but my kid mind thought that if I had actually got up and ran to my parents' bedroom, that thing would have attacked. So I didn't move, and it also didn't move. Yeah, that's my thing, is I try to be as still as possible. I literally slept under the covers until I was probably like 18, just fully under the covers, because I got so spooked. Maybe I should look into that. Maybe I should try therapy. It just stood there, hands on the glass. It felt like an eternity before 6 a.m. hit, and when I looked back, the thing was gone. So how did you know? Like, for 3 hours, you were just facing off? That's terrifying. I'm not entirely sure what I saw that night. I've told my mom about this, and she thinks it might have been lighting of a tree, which could have been true, but it just felt too real to be just lighting. I've never had any other encounters with the supernatural after that, but it was such a disturbing experience that comes up from time to time. Yeah, that's spooky-ooky. Don't like that. Don't like that. Someone did ask if the blinds were closed, how did you see this figure? And I thought about that too. I mean, there are blinds where you can see the outline still. Like, the blinds we have now are like that. Not all blinds are completely, blacked out. So, I'm assuming that would be why, but I don't know. 2 shadow people and an unknown entity visited me when I was a kid. This story happened to me when I was a kid, but I remember it very clearly. I've read enough about shadow people to know other people have encountered what I saw, but there was a third entity that still creeps me out when I think about it. Looking for anybody who might know more about the third thing in particular. I grew up in a smaller house when I was a kid, about the 3rd grade. From the living room, you could see through the dining room and into the kitchen, probably 20 feet. I feel like this is very common for open concept houses. So I get your vibe. The kitchen was in an L shape where the short leg of the L wrapped around a door leading down into the basement. The short leg portion of the kitchen can't be seen from the living room. It wasn't uncommon for me to fall asleep in the living room instead of going to my room at night, especially during the summer, and this was one of those nights. Same, especially if I was hanging out with my mom. My mom and I had fallen asleep together. We were laying on opposite sides of the couch. I had woken up in the middle of the night, and from where I was laying, I could see two figures pacing back and forth in the kitchen. They stood like they were wearing robes or some sort of encompassing clothing. One was all white, and the other was gray in color. They would walk from the visible portion of the L to the part hidden by the basement door. Every now and then, one would stop and look like it was looking at me, then continue pacing. Now, at this time, of course, I'm terrified and partially frozen with fear. I remember trying to wake up my mom and shaking her and seeing her head move in the dark, but to no luck. I sat there and watched them for what felt like at least 10 minutes. This is like one of my worst nightmares. I would try, I did fall asleep on the couch on occasion, but I would literally try and be in my room before it got dark out because I was like, I'm not walking past the windows, I'm not doing any of that. I grew up in a haunted house and I was also a very spooky child, so that is part of it. But yeah, you're braver than me. You're braver than me. Now, here's the part that I don't really get, and I feel dumb even saying it, but also with these shadow people, there was a small being that I can only describe as some sort of chubby turkey-looking spirit. It was rocking back and forth and facing me. It stayed in the same area while the two shadow people walked behind it. Was it like in a rocking chair, or was it just like rocking on its heels? Eventually, the shadow people paced to and stayed in the hidden portion of the kitchen, and Butterball Turkey faded out of my view. I was able to wake my mom up, and it was all over. But still, to this day, I can see them all perfectly, especially that odd little thing. Does anybody know what I saw? I don't. I've never heard of this in all of my years of listening to so many scary podcasts and videos and seeing things. But that is very odd. It's also odd that your mom didn't wake up until after. Unless you were, like, waiting to really try and wake her up, and you weren't trying very hard because you were scared. But if that's not the case, and, like, you were really trying, that is very weird. The Thing by the Road. Yes, I picked this one because they're in Kentucky, and I am currently in Kentucky. I was listening to Two Girls, One Ghost, and on one of the recent episodes, they were talking about Kentucky, and I don't think people understand how haunted this place is, because we didn't until we moved here, literally 20 years ago, which is insane to think that I've been here for 2 decades. Like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm so old. But, yeah, Kentucky is so haunted. There's so much going on here. And I haven't lived in another state in 20 years, so maybe it's just me, but I don't remember ever feeling, like, spooked or paranormal before that until I moved here. But I don't know. Continuing on. The Thing by the Road. When I was a kid, my dad used to drive us out to visit my grandparents in rural Kentucky every other weekend. It was a 4-hour drive, mostly highway, but the last part wound through empty back roads, just trees, fields, and the occasional mailbox. I wonder what road this was, because a lot of roads do have stories and sightings associated with them, and I know some of them, so I wonder, because rural could mean 10 minutes outside of a main city, or that could mean eastern Kentucky where there's literally nothing. One night, it was raining hard, and we were running late. I remember the wipers squeaking and that steady drumming on the roof as we went through a stretch with no streetlights at all. Then, the car headlights caught something, a person standing on the shoulder. Dad slowed down a little. The figure looked like a woman, barefoot, wearing this thin white dress plastered to her legs from the rain. Her head was tilted down, hair covering her face. I remember the weirdest thing was that she wasn't shivering, she was just still. Dad rolled the window down an inch and called out, "You okay, ma'am?" She didn't move, just slowly lifted her arm and pointed down the road. About 100 feet ahead, a massive tree had fallen across the road. We wouldn't have seen it in time to stop if we'd kept driving. Dad braked hard, heart racing. By the time he turned to thank her, she was gone. No sound, no movement, no footprints in the mud. We backed up, turned around, and found another route. When we got to my grandparents' house, Dad called the county sheriff to report the fallen tree. The deputy said, "Yeah, that's a bad stretch. You ain't the first to see a woman there." It's crazy that, especially here, it's always a woman with long dark hair and a white dress, and she's not always bad. Like, I feel like the movies and stuff have associated that image with bad or scary, but they're not always bad. Like, sometimes they are looking out for you. So that's sweet, but it's very scary. Like, very scary. My unexplained experience. Let me start by saying I've lived and stayed in so many paranormal hotspots, I should have shaken hands with an honest-to-God apparition by now. Mood. I've lived in Gettysburg for 4 years, stayed in the haunted rooms at the Crescent Hotel and on the Queen Mary, but never had I had an experience like I did as a kid at the Wentworth by the Sea Hotel in Newcastle, New Hampshire. For a period of time when I was a kid, the hotel was abandoned. We used to go by it and tell ghost stories with my grandma, and my mother had worked there when it was open. It was a typical New England blue blood resort with secret hallways for staff and almost 100 years of history. We had a Polaroid that... Did you just hear my dog sigh so loud? I'm sorry I'm inconveniencing you by sharing the chair. We had a Polaroid that captured every moment of our summers around that time. It was in our little Tercel wagon and got brought out for anything that was memorable. Bless you, Luna. One day, as we were going by the Wentworth, there was this bright orange glow coming out of one of the windows on the 3rd floor. Of course, we as kids wanted to stop and take a ghost picture, so Grandma stopped the car, pulled out the Polaroid, and took the picture. Picture 1 never develops. We demand another. This one just dries white. Another. You can barely see the window. Another. This time, jackpot. Perfect image. We get in the car, get less than a mile from the hotel, and the picture crumbles into flakes inside of the plastic and paper frame. Our little minds are absolutely rocked. My mind is rocked and I'm not little. That's crazy. Pre-internet, there's no Reddit or Google to see if this is a regular thing or not, so we ask her to go back the next day. Grandma, in an irresponsible stroke of 1992 genius, decides we'll just break into one of the buildings across from the hotel since the hotel is behind gates. It's broad daylight, no one is there to stop us, and the marina below was behind a locked service gate that was in full disrepair. We get into what had been one of the restaurants because it was overrun with junk from the hotel banquets and food service. Crates of glasses and coffee shops, plates and napkins are strewn about the room. Grandma was smoking a cigarette while we're hanging out, rummaging through boxes, when clear as day, a deep, booming man's voice says, "Hey!" Grandma just answers back, but baby, there's no one there but us. She says, "Hello?" a few times, looks around the place and into the darkened kitchen, but no one. She wants to keep looking for it, but we're all just running out of there like Scooby and the gang. I remember meeting her back at the car, her walking up the path, probably more amused about how scared we all were than anything else. They remodeled and reopened the hotel in the early 2000s. I got a chance to work there when I was in college. My mom's neighbor at the time was the manager of the restaurant we broke into. I never had any type of experience there when it was open. Who knows what it was, but fun memories. I'm not familiar with the lore of this hotel, so I honestly can't give any insight on that. But that is very, very spooky, and I hadn't heard of that before, so yeah, that gives me a good old-fashioned spook. This last one is titled, "The Boy That Visited Me in My Dreams as a Child Came Back." Hi, I don't really know how to even ask this. When I was a child, I had my first sleep paralysis. I don't even know if that's what it was. In my dream, I was in a wood house, really not at all common in my country, in a bed, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw a child, pale brown hair, just looking at me. I tried desperately to open my eyes, and I succeeded several times, only for them to be shut right back. Whenever my eyes were closed again, the boy was closer to me. After several months, I dreamt of the same house, but there was no child, just me. I was in the same room, and the house caught on fire. Years later, I dreamt of the house again. This was a different house. It looked like a family was moving there. I don't remember seeing anyone, but I knew 2 things. That boy lived there, and that was my house. I lived there. I knew every corner. It looked absolutely nothing like any house I have ever been in my life. The style of the house was something I had never seen. It felt like home. It was beautiful. I kept dreaming of that house throughout my childhood. I would love when I had those dreams because it felt like coming home. That's so sweet. I would literally play and laugh and play hide and seek. It was awesome. Years kept passing and I stopped dreaming about that house, the old wooden one that caught on fire, the boy, and the family. 2 weeks ago, I'm now 25, this happened when I was around 5 to 9 years old, I dreamt of him again. It was the old wooden house, I guess before it burned down. I came to the kitchen and saw the mom cooking something. She turned around. I could see her, but she couldn't see me. I knew where to go. I went to the child's room and he was playing on the ground. He looked younger than my first sleep paralysis, literally just a little kid. I looked at him and he turned his head, stared at me directly, and shouted like I have never heard before. It was horrendous, like he was dying of terror. His iris turned black and big, and around the iris there's a red circle. It didn't feel like he was a bad entity. It felt like he was a victim somehow. Ever since that last dream, I feel uneasy at home. There are some noises, some perfectly logical. My building is 20 years old. some sense of coldness, but really I just feel uneasy. Like there are always two people there. One just watches, the other seems bad. Oh my god. I know this seems crazy, but really every noise I hear that may be attributed to a logic explanation, I just don't feel that uneasy feeling. I feel some connection to this kid. I know this may have happened to a lot of people. I don't even know what to ask. How do I get to this kid? Why do I know him? Should I reach out? I'm sorry for the long text. And no one has responded on this. It's only 4 days old. But that is so spooky. Like, the two people watching, could it be the boy and then, like, some sort of entity that's over him? Who is the boy? I've heard of more witchy people dreaming of, like, their children from the time they were kids and then eventually having them. I don't know. I'm trying to think outside the box, but that is so scary. Sorry if I misunderstood, but was the happy house a sleep paralysis dream too? Because I've never heard a positive sleep paralysis dream, so that's really interesting. I get sleep paralysis when I'm really stressed out, and I hate it, so I would love to have like a nice sleep paralysis dream, or just a nice dream in general. Wow, what's a girl gotta do? But that is it for this podcast episode. I apologize, it's a little bit shorter. We are in the middle of moving. I'm actually going to leave here and go paint our house and put some wallpaper up. We've been out there. We already went and got a fridge today, and I have been vlogging all of it, and it will be on the YouTube. Our first vlog is already up, so definitely check that out. The next one should be up soon. Probably I aim to get them up on like Wednesdays. That way it's halfway between this video and the next one. And then I also do shorts and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening. I love you so, so much. Have the spookiest, but also fun and lighthearted spooky season ever. I will catch you guys later, and I don't know, this could be the last episode in this room. That would be kind of sad, but I don't know. I love you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.